like to bring on Maria Tringali from Avalara. So she's an exempt sales specialist with Avalara. Avalara provides end-to-end tax compliance solutions for any business, large or small, in any industry. As you move more of your business online, we know there are tax compliance concerns. She'll be sharing a few best practices you can leverage to make this transition easy while creating a seamless customer experience. So Maria Tringali, I'd like to welcome you to the stage and looking forward to your presentation on how to manage tax compliance when migrating your B2B business online. So welcome, Maria.
Perfect. Thank you for the intro, Tim. Great to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to talk about one of my favorite subjects. Okay, so we're going to talk today about that changing landscape and moving everything online, as we've all been talking about today and for the past 6 months. But we don't want to forget about meeting the buyer expectation. And of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about some best practices for moving your business online and not having to worry so much about tax compliance. So as you already know, and everyone's already talked about, B2B has been traditionally a very labor intensive and personalized experience. These are our big customers. We have to now move more of this business online, and we need to make that easy, but we can't forget about the tax compliance piece of it. We can't go out and see people as often. New laws have caused us to register in new states, et cetera, et cetera. There's this complexity to moving your business online. So let's talk about, that experience with our customers. So I hear this a lot, and people think that I don't want to move my business online because of the tax compliance ramifications, because of the tax compliance complexity. But let's talk about that. This is a necessity. You've got to move your business online in today's world, whether it's adding B2C and you've never done that before, or it's moving some multi-state resellers in a manual way, but they have been able to move their mom and pop stores, their local stores, to online, and they love it. Their mom and pops are just loving not having to make a phone call, go on, quickly order something at night, and it's super successful. So whatever you're doing, tax compliance should not be a reason not to go there. So let's talk about what you need to think about. And this is what any online seller needs to think about, not just you, but everybody has to think about. First of all, we have to think about where we have nexus, the new laws that have come out. We have to think about those exemption certificates. If we're in a B2B scenario, how are we going to automate that? How are we going to get those certificates to a digital format and out of that box? In our current world of being remote, what are we going to do with paper? We have nowhere to put it. We have to digitize this. And then, of course, if there's a B2B component to your sale, B2C component to your sale, we have to worry about the taxability. How do we know how our products are taxed outside of our home state? How do we know what the tax rates are in these new states? And of course, please don't forget about the customer experience. We shouldn't make our biggest customers have to jump through hoops to do business with us. We should make this process super easy. So let's go down those pillars quickly. So first of all, if you don't know what nexus is the connection between the seller and the state that requires you, the seller, to register, collect, and remit sales tax in that state, or prove why you didn't. And that's where these darned exemption certificates come in. It is the requirement of a state that you either collect tax or prove why you didn't. And lots of activities can cause nexus. And this isn't a nexus session. We can certainly go into that separately if you have questions about that. But you do need to, as a business in today's world, I call it the post-Wayfair world. So in the laws changed in 2018, and the biggest one that affected us was an economic nexus law. So it's no longer just physical presence that requires you to register in a state. There's now economic reasons, number of transactions and dollar amounts of sales, and all states have a different rule. There's only 2 of the 46 taxable states that don't have laws yet. So that means 44 of them have created laws. How are you going to remember those 44 different laws? So this is just an example of that. This is why it's super important. I'm going to say this like 37 times, Tim. If you haven't already investigated where your business might have sales tax exposure, that should be job number one for you. It's really important to understand that. And then everything else follows. Sales tax automation, moving B2B and B2C online, all of that follows. Your nexus footprint is really, really important. And I know you're going to say to me, most of my sales are exempt. Do I really have to register? Is the state really going to require me to remit a $0 return? The answer is yes. So states have passed laws. Let me say that again. These are laws. I'm not making this up. These are laws that the state requires to all out-of-state sellers, whether you sell online or not, whether you just ship your items or you deliver your items. If you cross state lines, you now have to look at the laws that state has passed. Each state has different ones, as I mentioned, and all sales are subject to sales tax absent an exemption. If you can't prove why you didn't, you have to charge tax. It is the requirement of the state. And the $0 thing, I always try to relate to, just because I may not owe any money to the federal government at the end of the year, I still have to fill out my income tax forms. I still have to pay my accountant. I have to fill all the forms, run all my reports, get all my stuff together, even if the bottom line is zero. So yes, you still have to remit your returns, even if there's $0 owed. Now the frequency may be less, it may be only an annual report, but you still have to do it. So what happens if you don't comply? First of all, states are desperate right now for tax revenue. Everyone knows that COVID, they were before, COVID made that a million times worse. So much of a state's revenue is made up from sales tax revenue, and they are desperate for it right now with all the businesses closed, lack of revenue. My example here shows that 47% on average across the country. I happen to live in Washington State. We don't have state sales tax, so ours is actually 53%, maybe even a little bit more. This was about 9 months ago. So we have a higher percent of our state's revenue comes from sales tax. So Washington is going to be looking for sales tax revenue. And frankly, they love out-of-state constituents because they're not their constituents. If you're selling something into the state of Washington, Washington wants a cut of that revenue. And you can get caught. So manufacturers and distributors are some of the top industries that are targeted because it's super easy to find undocumented exempt sales. The three most common reasons for audit triggers are undocumented exempt sales, failure to remit use tax, and failure to remit tax where nexus was established, meaning you didn't register. So it is really important and can be very costly to your business. You may think, oh, all my sales are exempt, but you have to prove why you didn't. Otherwise, they have the right to make you pay that tax. So just because you're exempt, don't avoid it. So with that, all those sort of scare tactics, let's talk a little bit about some best practices for moving your business online. So once you've done a nexus study and understand where you need to register, where you should be registered, and you get registered, you need to talk about automating your tax compliance. You can't go online with your business and not have automated tax compliance. It's not really feasible. You need a good customer experience. You need your customers to be able to buy quickly, and you want them to buy from you. So you want that experience to be super easy. So let's talk about what automation of sales tax compliance looks like. So it starts with your customer, and I'm using our suite as an example, Avalara's compliance suite, but the concept is the same. So the whole process starts with your customers. You probably have some exemption certificates on file now. They may be accurate, they may be expired. You may or may not have them for states that you need to get registered in because you just established a presence in additional states because of the new laws. But basically, before you can automate, you have to get those certificates up to date. You need to update the ones you have, make sure they're current and accurate, and any of your customers that are in other states are now going to have to either provide a certificate or pay tax. And they've been buying from you for umpteen years without having to provide documentation or pay tax. So you're going to be interrupting your regular customers. So you need a platform that is going to help you be proactive and go out to these customers, before you automate and say, hey, we're automating, we have Nexus in your state. We need to collect the appropriate documentation from you so that we can continue to not charge sales tax on your orders. So you need a platform to do this. Humans can't do this. People think we can do it. You can't physically call 1,000 of your customers and ask them, or more, and ask them what form they need to submit to you and try to explain this. You need an automated way, and you need a partner to do it. When you leverage a partner like Avalara, we do this on your behalf. Hey, we're doing this on behalf of your company, Smith Company, and we're collecting the certificate because they now have a presence. And the form letter looks like it comes from you, has your information, but we field all the questions. So you need to partner with someone that knows what to collect and knows how to answer questions. If you try to call 1,000 of your customers, how are you going to be able to answer questions about forms in states you're unfamiliar with, reasons you're unfamiliar with, the manufacturing exemption in the partial manufacturing exemption in California? How are you expected to know that? So you need a partner who's going to help you get this right. You also need to get out of the paper world. Automation means no paper. It is no longer feasible in our current world to collect pieces of paper over a fax machine and stick them in a banker's box under your desk. Can't do that anymore. We have to be able to move these from paper to digital. I'm sitting at my mom's desk, which is why you heard the phone. Sitting at my mom's desk, there's not even any paper, other there's some blank printer paper on her desk. And she's 83. We have to not have our compliance documents on paper. They've got to become digital information that we can use. So once you have your certificates and your customers set in your system, then comes the tax determination piece. So this is where tax automation comes in. So you need a certificate platform that is attached to your tax determination platform, so that as tax determination is made in a shopping cart or in your ERP, that platform checks to see if you have Nexus. So should I actually do something with this order? It checks to see if your customer is exempt. Does your customer have paperwork on file to exempt them from sales tax? If yes, it won't calculate tax. If no, it'll proceed with a tax determination, and it's going to tax every item on that invoice appropriately for that address. It's going to return a tax amount or zero to the invoice for you, but stamp all of the sales information into the platform. And that's what enables the platform to complete sales tax returns. Now, in Avalara's case, we complete the sales tax returns forms for you dynamically. We don't even touch them. A lot of other companies have different processes. Ours is super easy. So you tell the platform what returns, what states you're registered in, what returns you have to file, and what the frequency is. And the software does the manual labor piece. No more running reports and kludging. So it does all that for you and puts it on the forms. And then you can do a reconciliation of the pre-filled out forms, similar to what your CPA might do for your federal income tax. They fill it out based on the information, and then you go through and do a reconciliation of it. And then in Avalara's case, we remit the actual returns, and any revenue due to them, you would send Avalara one ACH payment and we would return the revenue. So again, you need a full end-to-end. You can't really kludge these. A lot of people call us wanting just the sales tax piece, just this middle piece. Well, you can see that that's not tax compliance. Tax compliance is from customer to government. It's not just the middle piece. So you need to start thinking in that direction. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, I have a document management system. I scan in these PDFs and I put them into a document management platform, and there they sit. The reality is document management is not compliance management. It does not help you reduce risk in any way. It is storage of a one-dimensional document. It cannot communicate directly with your customers. It cannot identify the document for them to complete and submit to you. It can't validate documents. It's literally an image. It can't validate the document or the data on that document. It doesn't have reporting or tracking of data on the documents. You might be able to create a report of one data point like expiration, but how do you know that's even the right document? How do you know you have the expiration date right? It doesn't improve customer experience, and it certainly doesn't support compliance workflows and audit trails. So again, document management is for paper. We need to get out of the paper world. And also in our remote environment, Who's collecting these pieces of paper and where are you putting them? So it's just really, it's just not a practical way to manage compliance. And again, what I call our post-Wayfair world. Pre-Wayfair, pre all these new nexus laws, you might have been able to have 30 or 50 certificates in a box under your desk. But now that you have exposure in 27, 30 states, and you've got all types of forms and reasons from all types of states, it's just not a practical way to handle these anymore. We've got to turn paper into pixels here. Seamless customer experience. So we've talked about this a little bit. We don't want your change in nexus and your business changes to affect the customer. The customer's been buying from you for years. We need to keep that experience seamless for them. Oops, sorry, wrong way. The fact is that managing exempt customers right is managing your customers well. They feel burdened having to provide the right document. If they provided you the wrong one, you had to go back and ask for another one. They're like, I have to do that again. I don't know what I'm supposed to provide. Wait, I got to go talk to accounting. And they really, they get really angry if you can't bill them properly. I know all of you have done an invoice where you had to do a credit and rebill because you billed the customer and you charge them tax and they go, wait, I'm exempt. And then you have to go back and adjust that invoice. That is not fun for them. And it's certainly not fun for you. Our frontline employees need a smooth collection process to earn the customer trust. They need to be able to do this fast. They got to make sure that they have the right certificate on file. They don't have any tax expertise and they don't have time to go calling the state to make sure it's the right form, and they don't have time for credits and rebills. Really important that that is a smooth process. As I've alluded to, you've got to have intelligent exemption certificate management. Document management will not work. You've got to have a platform that is compliance management focused. You need to track your nexus on an ongoing basis. You may do a nexus study in the past, but what about the future? How do I know when I've crossed thresholds in new states? For a lot of businesses, business is booming. I was just on the phone this morning with a company that sells fishing equipment. They laid off people in early COVID. Then they had to rehire them back and add more because sales increased 30%. You don't know how your sales are going to go. You've got to continue to monitor your nexus footprint. Oopsie. And if you have to charge tax if you're moving B2B online, or you have partial B2C online, partial B2C sales, you've got to understand tax rates. This is an example of zip codes versus taxing jurisdictions. Zip codes are for the mailman. So you can see in this one zip code, how many different tax rates here. So you've got to get that right. And you also have to get product taxability right. Are my products taxed the same in my state as in another state? Probably not. Service can be taxable in your home state, but maybe not in a neighboring state. You've got to get the product taxability right. Again, end-to-end compliance. And the best practice, this is my favorite part. I saved the best for last, Tim. The best practice here, this is one of my favorite things, is moving exemption certificate collection to your online shopping cart. You can actually do this. Some businesses have kind of kludged this together, but if you use a platform like Avalara's, you can do this in a super professional way that is going to be a differentiator for your business. Allow your buyers to submit an exemption certificate right here in a shopping cart. So you can see in my example, I've put a laptop and a laptop case in my shopping cart. It calculated $31 tax for me, but it asked me if my purchase is tax exempt right here in the shopping cart. Oh, yep, I'm a designer. I'm gonna sell this to my client, and it knows I'm in North Carolina because I already put my address in. So it pulls up this portal and allows me to digitally fill out the North Carolina form. No faxing, no paper, no questions about what I submit from the buyer or from the seller. It serves it right up, the North Carolina resale certificate. They launch it at the point of purchase. They complete it and it will apply and literally zero out that $31 of tax right here in my shopping cart. You can take that one step further. Most of us in the B2B world have a My Account, or an account where your buyers log into to create their orders. They get special pricing, etc. So you can allow the same experience. You can allow your customers to update their certificates, provide new certificates, renew certificates, all managed in their account. So you can see this is a sample account. I've got my orders, my wish list, and also my tax exempt certificate. So you're pushing the responsibility of providing and updating and managing these certificates gently over to the buyer. Frankly, it's their responsibility to provide them to you if they don't want to pay tax. It is your responsibility to prove you had them on file, but you want to push this responsibility over to them, but in a way that's really easy for them. Remember, we don't want to burden them. So in summary, Tim, we really want to be able to collect and manage tax compliance across all our channels, not just in our ERP, online, quoting tools. Maybe we have multiple entities that have different accounting platforms. You need to manage your tax compliance and your exemption certificates across all your channels before you create invoices. And I've already said this 16 times, but we need to turn paper into pixels. We've got to get out of the paper business. It's too risky for your business, too time consuming, and too error prone. And we've got to remove the guesswork out of these certificates in this process. Buyers need help knowing what to provide. Heck, usually the person buying is not the sales tax expert or in accounting, really. And we need to allow your employees to have a really easy, seamless process without a whole lot of knowledge and time to collect these. So just one last thing before I turn it back over to you. Again, I'm going to say this again. If you have not done a sales tax risk assessment or a nexus study, I highly, highly recommend that's where you start. If you have, you should be looking at automation. Avalara has a free nexus tool online. You can also talk to your CPA. Make sure that your CPA has a SALT practice, a state and local tax practice, because of just a local CPA, normal, regular CPAs deal with income tax and business taxes, but not with sales tax. So make sure you're speaking with a sales tax expert when you do that. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Tim. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you so much, Maria. So turn paper into pixels, right? I like it.
Yes, you got it. Exactly.
You guys are the tax experts, so I know taxes change very frequently. So yeah, if you guys, Avalara is one of our premier partners. So if you guys have any questions in terms of taxes, do reach out to them, or even for myself, I'll be glad to do the introductions. So, and again, I just want to thank all the sponsors, BigCommerce as our platinum sponsors, Gorgeous, Avalara, and APS Payments as our gold sponsors, and Dot Digital, Punch Out to Go, ShipStation, Medicake, and DCKAP Chloris as our silver sponsors. But yeah, that's it. That's all that we have for today. Looking forward to the next one. We do have events on a monthly basis, smaller ones called e-sessions, so specific case study examples for B2B and distributors. If you want to even have us analyze your company and do a case study, do let us know. We would love to showcase and highlight your company. And then we should have another eSummit in April. We do 2 big ones every year, and yeah, we're glad that for all you guys to join us for this one, and we look forward to the next one. But that's it. That's all that we have for now, and we look forward to another great event. You guys stay safe out there. We'll see you soon.